And now, Deborah Kobylt Live.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Very special guest joining me today, my friend, Catherine Gray. Hi, Catherine.
Hello,
Thanks.
Deborah. Happy to be here.
Absolutely wonderful that you're here. Catherine Gray, founder of She Angels, also the Pitchfest TV series, She Angels Foundation, and the Invest in Her podcast. Catherine Gray, you are a busy lady, so you're going to tell us all about that in our show, the next half hour or so. First of all, Catherine, tell me a little bit about She Angels. What is it? What's the objective?
Well, thanks, Deborah. Thanks for having me. My favorite thing about being on Zoom is we don't have to wear a mask.
Right? and I'm a big mask person. So if we were sitting next to each other, it would be 10 feet, wear your mask. So you're right about that.
That's right. Great to see your beautiful face.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me on. Well, She Angels is basically a women's empowerment platform about funding women. And so part of that is that we started with the Pitchfest to raise funds for female entrepreneurs, women helping women investing in women. And then I filmed that to launch a TV series that follows their journeys. And so that's something anticipating to launch in 2021. Meanwhile, we launched our nonprofit arm just a few weeks ago, and that's called sheangelsfoundation.org. And that is to fund female-founded nonprofits that are helping women with funding and resources and mentorship. So
that's fantastic. Let's talk a little bit about the amount and the number of women. What's the percentage of women-funded businesses, if you will? Right. Tell us a little bit about that, because it's not very high. People might be surprised.
They will be shocked. In fact, every time I tell people, their jaw drops. The reason I started the whole She Angels platform and the Invest in Her podcast, which is interviewing women who are female founders and funders, is that I found out through the whole process of doing these pitch fests and trying to fund women, that women got less than 15% of traditional funding and less than 2% of venture capital funding. This means men get the lion's share, like 80 or 85, 90, 95% of all the funding. So how are we going to level that playing field? And that's what I really set out to do. I believe, as a filmmaker, that it is film and TV that helps change culture by educating people, by doing shows like the one that you're doing. We're educating people about how underfunded women are, but not only that, how they can participate in helping to change that. So how do we change that playing field? A lot of people say, well, Catherine, you talk about women helping women. I say, that's right. And they go, what about men helping women? And I say, yeah, of course we want men to get behind their wives and friends and sisters and daughters, but how's that been working for us? So we also have to really accentuate women helping women. And what that means as far as She Angels goes is we perpetuate the idea of women becoming angel investors by seeking out angel investment groups that are out there now, like Golden Seeds and OSEA and many others, that they can learn how to be an angel investor. And then we launched the She Angels Foundation for philanthropic purposes, where women like yourself could become members and be part of a giving collective that's more powerful than just giving on your own. And
which I have done, and I'm very honored
so happy to have
that.
you as a member of sheangelsfoundation.org.
Let me just ask you this. Do you think also it's because women, I don't know, were nervous, afraid, intimidated to go out there and ask for money? Because I think initially that's been the case, right? Why it's so low.
Well, it's a known fact that research shows that women are less confident. They've just grown up in a culture that they think unless they have, 10 out of 10 requirements, that they can't do something, where a man will think, oh, I have 3 or 4 of the 10 requirements to do this. I can do this. And that is the difference in our culture. And we need to change that. We need to have women encourage other women that they can do this. So when they have an invention or they have an idea and they want to build a new business, that they know that other women will get behind them, not just with funding, but mentorship and resources. And that's what She Angels is all about. It's about having a village around you. It's like the old boys club is what I say, but since no one wants to belong to the old girls club, I call it the bold girls club.
The Bold Girls Club. I like that. The Bold Girls Club. Let's be members of the Bold Girls Club. Excellent. So I have an idea. I want to pitch it. I hear about She Angels. Walk me through the whole process. How does that work? How do I get in touch with you? What do we do?
Well, every year we allow people to submit to the Pitchfest. Pretty soon on sheangels.com, we'll be having the applications back up. We just picked 7 finalists for the previous one. And then they'll have an opportunity to be showcased also on our upcoming TV series. So they just keep following us at on social media at She Angels, and they'll find out when they can submit again soon on sheangels.com. Meanwhile, if they are a nonprofit that's female founded, they can immediately go to sheangelsfoundation.org and submit an application there to get a grant from us to help them if indeed their nonprofit is helping women with resources and funding and mentorship to help grow in a business capacity. In fact, we just gave away 2 grants.
What were those? What did you give them away to? What were the
Good ask.
No, because it's very interesting because wait, Catherine, you've kind of got it all covered. You've got the foundation, and then you've got those who are needing money to start up businesses, right? Or continue with their businesses. And I think that's terrific because it kind of goes full circle. You've got different areas depending upon what the person's interest is. But yeah, go ahead. Tell me what are those companies or what are those?
I will say that, and then we'll get to how it is important for women to invest both for financial gain and then also as a philanthropist. The 2 that we've given grants to so far from She Angels Foundation, the first one was the People's Pottery Project. It's a really phenomenal artist, Molly Larkey, who she started a group to help formerly incarcerated women learn the pottery trade and learn how to make a living from that. And then she also employs them. And they put on workshops to help women learn that trade. And you can buy
I love it.
Yeah, you can buy products on her site, which is Pottery Project, excuse me, peoplespotteryproject.com. You can buy and help support these women. Formerly incarcerated women are such a invisible group of people. It's really hard for them to get back on their feet. And that's why we decided to get behind that one first, because they also not only get behind women, but those identifying as women. So that would include the trans community. We are all about getting behind diversity.
That's very important. Let's go back to women in prison, because I may be doing a show on that, because very often, statistically, as we know, many women end up in prison. They've been abused. They've been badly abused. And they may have committed a crime, but very often it's in self-defense. Very often they were defending their children. And there's a very high incidence of that. And then they get out and they're not educated. They don't want to go back to the man who's been abusing them. So this is so important. And I'm so pleased that you gave to that. It's very, very, very important.
Yeah, women there would be great for your show, because she was in a domestic violence situation, had to fend for her life, ended up in jail, would have never gotten out, started a group that helps women like herself to get out. And then, of course, then there's other projects to help get them back on their feet, like the one I was just talking about.
I need to say something. People, did you hear what Catherine just said? She'd be great for your show. Catherine, one thing about you is you like to promote other people and help other people get the story out through multiple ways. And that's very important. We talk about women helping women. Very often women say they want to help women, but maybe they're not helping women. But you really do it. You put your money exactly where your mouth is. And you like to sort of spread out information to others. And I think that's so important. And I'll take it. I'd love to interview her, because her story should be out there on so many multiple platforms. I'm thrilled that she got the money to continue with the work that she's doing. That's beautiful. So, and that was through the foundation, She Angels Foundation, right?
SheAngelsFoundation.org. And then the other group is called Hope Gardens, and they have a 70-acre property that's hidden in the hills to keep these women of domestic violence, some of them from homelessness, sheltered. And then they help them get back on their feet, which is what we're all about. We're all about how do we empower women and help them to soar. And so not only do they house them, but they help educate them. They teach them financial information, and then they also help them like get their GED or get their degree, and so that they can get a job or start a business and flourish. So we're really proud of that grant as well.
Fantastic. So you've got both of those going, and you talk about this, of course, on your podcast, right?
Yes.
The Invest in Her podcast. Go ahead.
Yes. Invest in Her is about fabulous female founders and funders. I believe both are important. We have plenty of founders. We need more women funders. And I do talk about that on the show. What are the different levels? What are some of the different levels? You talk about funders. I mean, you could be, could you talk about that a little bit? Yeah. So when women belong to, a lot of times women belong to a book club, and I say, hey, wouldn't it be even more exciting to belong to an investment club, like an angel investor club, where you go and learn about these incredible inventions these people have. Just today I had on a woman on Invest in Her that created an invention that helps women not lose their hair when they have chemotherapy. I mean, these women are brilliant. If women don't get funding, all of these incredible inventions won't come to light. And, it's on our website, it says the Dalai Lama says the Western women will save the world. And I say, how are they going to do that without funding? So funding is so important. It's so important that any man or woman listening says to themselves, gee, I've never belonged to an investment group. Why don't I look into that and see, Golden Seeds or OSEA or one of these angel groups where you can go and learn how to become an angel investor. It's so fascinating. And then you get to be one of the first people to see and hear of these new ideas and inventions and invest in it and make money with it. It can be like your legacy of if you're not an inventor yourself, then invest in someone who is. I think it's an incredible opportunity for people. Yeah, it's women supporting women, men supporting women. Come on, guys out there, but you all have daughters, moms, co-workers, right? I mean, it's really for the betterment of everyone. We got to shake it up a little bit and move the needle up a little bit from 15%. Let's try and get it up to 25 and 30%. And eventually let's make it equal. Yeah, I was just going to say, if we're more than 50% of the population, shouldn't we be getting more than 50% of the funding? Like, let's really level the playing field. Yeah. So that's the angel investor side of it. And that's what She Angels Pitchfest and TV series is about. It's about educating people about women getting to be angel investors. We need more women at the decision-making table, because when women are pitching to all white males at an investment pitch fest, they're not as likely to get funding, because people tend to invest in people they identify with or products they identify with. So a woman is more likely to invest in a woman's product or idea. That's why there need to be more women investors. The flip side of that is, besides being an angel investor, which every woman should look into, it's of course important to be a philanthropist and give back. And of course, that's tax deductible and something everybody should do. So no matter what nonprofit it is, and of course, we recommend SheAngelsFoundation.org. For our members, not only is it 100% tax deductible, but once they're a member, they come to our salons, both online and in person, for free. Get to meet other incredible like-minded women like yourself that are members. And they get to be a part of input to who we're investing in. Collectively, when women put their monies together in a foundation like this, it's collectively more powerful. So if you were going to give $500 to an organization, that's great. But if you get together with other people and it becomes 5,000 or 10,000, it's more impactful. Plus, it's more fun. You're doing it with other like-minded women, and it's a great giving club. So SheAngelsFoundation.org, we would love to have you come and be a member and be a part of this incredible movement to get behind female-founded nonprofits that are helping women.
And there are some terrific women involved, and I know quite a few of them. They're all very different in their fields, and they've all really had to, I don't know if the word fight is the right word, but they've had to work really, really hard to get to where they are, whether they're in the acting profession, in the business profession, in the restaurant profession, right? In the media profession.
Yes.
Regardless, we've worked really hard to get there, so we know what it takes. And so it's a collective of women who want to make sure that we pass that on to other people. Fantastic.
Absolutely. You know, my co-founder of She Angels is the incredible Catherine Curry Williams. Her and her husband Scott, they started Change Inspiration about 20 some years ago. Super successful nonprofit that helps put handicapped accessible playgrounds all over the world. And now, lucky for us, while that still is going strong, she's coming over and together with starting the She Angels Foundation to, accommodate funding women, which is another passion of Catherine's. And so I'm very lucky to have her as a partner in this. And then we have an incredible advisory board, as you know. We have Chef Kat Cora, who was the first woman inducted in the Culinary Hall of Fame. We have Randy Thomas, who is the first Oscars voiceover artist that was a woman, real trailblazer.
She's phenomenal. She is absolutely phenomenal. I hear her voice and I feel like I just won $1 million. But I love her. She's great. Go ahead.
Yeah. And that's just to name a few. We just have an incredible lineup of women. So if you are a, powerhouse woman with a big heart and you want to see women, be funded and flourish, well, then SheAngelsFoundation.org is a great place to have a membership and for your nonprofit giving. And then, again, the other side of that is everybody should become an angel investor. I think it's hugely important.
Catherine, let me talk a little bit about you, because I always love to dig into somebody's background. I know you were a giving person, even as a little kid. You're a filmmaker. Let's talk very briefly about the film that you made, which is very interesting. And also the work that you've done with LGBTQ rights. You're married to your beautiful wife, Deborah. You've been married 2+ years. You're like little newlyweds. It's adorable to go out to dinner with you. It's like, I feel like I'm like with 2 little kids. I mean, it's just precious, but you've had to fight, to get to the point where, initially you came out to your family and you realized that, this is the way you wanted to live your life. And you spent much of your life fighting for gay and lesbian rights and trans rights and then some.
Yes, I absolutely have always been an activist. Since my early 20s, I did a show called Way Off Broadway about 30 years ago. Oh, here I am, giving my age away. And I just, in fact, reconnected with the host of that show, but we launched that in Miami. It was, I believe, the first gay TV show ever on television. I actually bought the airtime and put it on, and it featured some female impersonators, and that had never been seen on air before, and it caused quite an uproar. But I just felt like gay people and gay businesses should be allowed to be on television. And for those millennials listening, believe it or not, back in the 80s, there were no gay characters and there were no gay TV shows and there was no representation. So it was a really great opportunity to start my activism.
And you were down in Miami because you went to school there,
right?
And you spent some time there before you then moved to New York, and then eventually moved out here to California. So you've kind of done the triangle. I've done the same thing, by the way: Florida, New York, California. Very interesting. So yeah,
each other.
Yeah, well, absolutely, we will keep doing that. But I love that you did that, because those voices needed to be heard and seen. Because I remember those days where people were like, oh, they would shudder. It's like, now it's like, okay, this is a good thing. And it's because of people like you, right? Who did something like it.
And then in 2001, I was thinking, well, why can't we get married? Just like what you just brought up about getting married. And I started to do a film called I Can't Marry You. And I asked Ellen DeGeneres' mom to narrate it. And she did. I was so grateful. And I ended up getting that on PBS. That was my first documentary, and I got it on PBS, which later I heard was like winning the lottery, but who knew? And I just thought
that's very impressive. That's
Thank
very
you.
impressive. Yeah.
I just figured PBS was a great mainstream, venue to reach people around America, to show them why not having those 1,000 rights and benefits and protections of the federal government that marriage provides was so important, and that how we had to separate church and state. One time when I was on an NPR interview about it, this woman in Texas calls me up and said, "Oh, you're making that movie about gay marriage. That's blasphemous." And I said, "Well, to be honest with you, it's not, because every atheist in this country is allowed to get married. It has nothing to do with religion." So she didn't have much to say about that. But isn't that the truth? That's the separation of church and state.
Well, that's always sort of dogged me. I won't get into it except to say it's all interpretation. And why do they hold up their religious, what they believe to be the way they've read into their the Bible? I mean, it's very difficult for me. Separation of church and state must always stay. I mean, we're in jeopardy of losing that, so we have to be very careful. I'm not going to get into politics, but
we won't. Because
we won't. But we've got to
that everything stays as it is. And like you were saying, I was so happy to be the recipient of that law changing. In fact, when I made that film, a lot of people told me, "You're crazy. That'll never happen." And about a little over a decade after I made it, here we are. I couldn't believe that it was overturned as soon as it was. That was a miracle, but miracles happen every day. Mm-hmm. And so I'm so grateful to be the recipient of that law changing. You're right. I did meet the love of my life and got to get married, which at my age, I never dreamed really was actually going to happen, and couldn't be happier. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be married. And I hope that can always stay married. Very sacred to me. I don't understand other people not thinking people shouldn't be allowed to marry the person they love if their religion is about love and not hate. So, but that's a whole nother Oprah, and we won't go down that way.
It is. And it's, if you just stick to that message, if it's about love and not hate, hopefully you'll reach someone who's on the other side, who maybe scratches their head and says, yeah, she's right. She's not hurting anyone. I mean, who's hurting anyone by loving and marrying who they want? If anything, it's a good thing, right? They're keeping the institution of marriage alive. That's how I look at it.
Right. Well, I decided back in my 20s and 30s when I was having to not be out, and it was such a burden to live that way, and nobody should ever put their child through that, that I thought two things were the most important. And one was that we allow kids to see themselves in a positive light on TV and movies, which has come to fruition since then, and that we would be allowed to get married so they could look forward to that and feel the normalcy of how that makes sense for everyone. And so I'm so glad that those two things came to fruition. So I've always been an activist. I've always been for the underdog. And so I feel like women are the underdog right now with the funding arena. And so a few years ago is when I launched into this effort to help level the playing field. And, I'm on a mission to make sure that this is what materializes. I do believe if everybody gets on board as an angel investor and as a philanthropist in women, that we will change this, and we have the power. We are more than 50% of the population. Women make more than 80% of the financial decisions about buying things. So we should be the ones in charge of this. We should be able to manifest this funding. And I know that we can, and I know that we will.
You know what? A lot has changed, actually, because sometimes at night, I love to watch old TV shows, like older ones, like from the 50s and 60s. And I've never even seen them. I wasn't even around, right? And it's amazing to me, the roles that women had to be in, right? They had to be the mom. They had to have the little apron on and cook. We have come such a long way from then. You want to cook? Good for you. But women are now, they're using their heads. They're out there working. And I think there's no going back, Catherine. And with the funding for women, I like to say there is nothing to be afraid of. Earlier in our show, we said that women very often are intimidated. I can be intimidated walking into a room full of men, and I think, uh-oh. And then I have to say, forget it. Just go, because you have to just go. And with what you're doing with She Angels, it takes down that barrier. But even if you walk into a room, ladies, full of men, just keep going. That's what I have to say. I mean, because we have to.
But I hope you start walking in the room and there's some women investors. That's my hope.
It's happening. Now, the Pitchfest, let me talk a little bit about that, because that's coming up. Am I right? You just had the Pitchfest, and is there another coming up? Because I'm trying to separate.
We were supposed to have one during COVID, and so it's put on hold while we work on launching the TV series. So that's something that the last one we did, I would love to mention that one of the winners of that, Melissa Scott, had said to me that it was those panel of investors believing in what her idea was that helped her to launch it and become successful. And so there really is a power in women getting behind women and having other powerful, smart women believe in what you're doing. You know, that's one of the confidence builders, is having other people believe in you. And so she just took off after that. We gave her some funding and a lot of mentorship. And then she got a big deal for her Modify Wear with the Olympics. And then
that's right.
Opened a store in West Hollywood on Robertson. And so she's been soaring ever since. So it really is proof that, you know, women investing in women, getting behind women, women helping women really does work.
You're pitching the TV show, right? All around town.
Yes.
I know you can't say too much, but I know that you are.
But it's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it is definitely coming, everybody. Okay. So before we let you go, let everybody know how they get in touch with you and how they can get in touch. You know, if they've got an idea, where they can go. If they want to join, what they can do, please. And we'll put it all over our social media too.
Sure. Well, our social media is at She Angels, and you can follow us there, reach out to me there. Of course, you can always go to contact at 360karma.com, which is my website. Or just visit us at sheangels.com. Sheangels.com, you can just email me straight from there or in social media. I'd love to hear from you.
And just troll around their website, because that's what I did. You know, just troll around and see some of the work that they're doing, some of the women involved. It's a very, I don't like the word, but I'll use it, inspiring group of ladies, right? Who've worked really hard to get to where they are. And if you all did it, somebody else can do it too. That's all I have to say. Catherine, I'm so excited. Yeah, very.
I was going to say, also, we'd love to have you check us out on Invest in Her on, of course, iTunes and Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Right. Invest in Her podcast, where this is all married together, right? She Angels Foundation. Yes. The She Angels Pitchfest, the Invest in Her. It's all under that She Angels umbrella. Beautiful work. I applaud you, Catherine.
Thank
Gray.
You so
That's
much.
Just wonderful. And thanks for tuning in today too. We're going to push this out as well, because I believe in what you're doing. It's really fantastic.
Thank
you.
And
thank you for having me as a member. I'm looking forward to some of the events and helping wherever I can. I think this is very important.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in today to Deborah Kobylt Live. Just like Catherine said, we're kind of everywhere. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube. We post all of our promos over on Instagram. Then you can hear us over on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spreaker. I think soon we're going to be on Amazon. I'm not sure. But wherever you get your podcasts, just look us up and you'll find us. Deborah Kobylt Live and Catherine Gray, She Angels. Look them up and get involved. Please be a She Angel, just like I am. We will talk to you soon. Catherine, thanks again. And we'll see everybody next time. Bye-bye.